You guys, this challenge was a major success. Major. Okay? Couple reasons why. I think I really liked it because you guys were not as focused on restriction, right? We were focused on, yes, this is all the stuff I have to do, right? But they were all habits that we have been asking you guys to kind of execute on a regular basis anyways. They're the habits that in some way, shape, or form are going to move the needle towards your goals. Most of us had body fat loss as a goal, just in general coming in here, and then also for the challenge. Now, when I met with each of you guys to talk about what you wanted to get out of the challenge, there really weren't that many of you guys that listed body fat loss as the main focus of the challenge. Most of you guys came in asking to get back on track, to take more advantage of the app, to get back into logging food, to get back into drinking your water. Maybe you actually started tracking your workouts in the app. Maybe you incorporated a Tuesday, Thursday lift or a Tuesday, Thursday cardio session. Maybe you really dialed it on the steps because you never gave 10K steps a day a chance. Maybe you just wanted to do it to get to know another IBFitter or to have fun with one of your friends here. Whatever the reason was that you got into it, I'm just glad that those of you that did it because there wasn't a single team where a team member didn't lose body fat. Now, that's not to say that there were members that didn't lose body fat. Some people didn't lose body fat according to the Body Fat Calipers, but they lost inches around their waist and their clothes are fitting differently, and then their pictures are showing results. So I want to talk about that for a second. So if you didn't see a major drop in your body fat, or you even gained body fat according to the Body Fat Calipers that I was using for this challenge, that doesn't necessarily mean that you did not lose body fat. Now, Body Fat Calipers measure subcutaneous fat specifically. So the fat that sits underneath your skin. It does not measure your visceral fat. There's no way for me to pinch the fat that's sitting on your liver, right? The fat that visceral fat that's in the midsection. So if you are one of those people that carries your body fat in your midsection, and like you're one of those people where like maybe you don't have a lot of skin to grab on here, but you are a little bit, have a little bit wider waist measurement, and you know that that's where the majority of your body fat loss needs to happen. Those are typically the people who didn't lose as much body fat with the calipers, but they saw changes in their waist measurements, in their strength, and then in their upper body, lower body pinches, right, on the Body Fat Calipers, and then also seeing results in the mirror and in their pictures. That means that they more than likely lost visceral body fat, and this can happen for a couple different reasons. One, your body felt that you getting the steps in, you getting the water in, and you being intentional with your protein led to more visceral fat focus. So the fat around your organs, your body felt the need to and wanted to focus on losing that. If you're somebody who has never gotten steps in before, then this is also something that kind of kickstarts that. Same with getting water in, right? So those are reasons why maybe you didn't lose the subcutaneous body fat on the calipers, but you did see results in your pictures, or you did see results in a lower measurement in your waist. That's not a bad thing, right? It's actually, if you think about it, the visceral fat, the fat that's inside of our organs, that's the fat that impacts our blood sugar, impacts our hormones, and is the fat that is, clogging our arteries or is related to that. So losing that body fat is going to have a direct impact on your metabolism and on the quality of your life, right? And also, all that means is that your body prioritized losing that fat over the fat that's underneath your skin, or you just didn't have as much of the water or fat underneath your skin to lose this time around, right? So if you did see any positive changes in how your clothes are fitting, and even down to how consistent you were being for this challenge, I do think that you should count that as a major win. And if this was the case, I'm sure we talked about it during the meeting, but any type of body fat loss that you experience, any type of wins that we experience during the course of these 4 weeks, we need to make sure we acknowledge those, even if it wasn't as big of a jump as you wanted. I did want to touch on expectations. So everybody, when we met, we talked about what we really wanted to get out of the challenge, and then we kind of based our protein goal, our water goal, our step goal was kind of the same for everybody, but we based those goals on what I felt like you needed to do to accomplish that goal that you set for the 4 weeks, right? So if you just wanted to focus on consistency, it was really about how are we going to time these steps so that you get them in? How are we going to make sure you get an extra 30 minutes of activity in on Tuesday and Thursday? And then how else are you going to level up nutrition-wise? Some people really needed to focus on their protein. We didn't stress calories. If you did want to focus on body fat loss, we know that to lose weight, you have to stick to your calorie goal. So some people were more intentional about sticking to a calorie goal and a protein goal and not just the protein goal. Obviously, to lose body fat and to lose weight, we want to make sure we stay in a calorie deficit. But what some people experience if they've been in a calorie deficit for a long time is that if they eat a little bit more calories, and it's from whole foods, from protein, eating fruit and veggies for that fiber, and getting water and steps in, that you do tend to lose a little bit more body fat, maybe not necessarily weight on the scale, but you do lose a little bit more body fat in the long run by prioritizing protein. Now, you don't get away with that for long. You can't go over your calories on a regular basis and just because you're hitting your protein, think that you're going to lose weight, right? There's a lot of other things that come into play with that. So I think that all in all, the challenge was really, really successful. If you saw any kind of positive changes, I think that it's a sign that you need to continue to do all or most of the things from this. And if anything, I feel like, yes, we were attempting to be perfect during the 4 weeks, but of course life probably hit you guys in the face with something and gave you a reason why you couldn't be perfect that week, right? Nobody achieved a perfect score out of all 4 weeks. Even the people who earned the most points, they didn't get a perfect score. So that just goes to show you that life will never give us 4 weeks of perfect for us to just execute things the way that we want, okay? This was you going balls to the wall, really dialed in for the 4 weeks on everything, and this was the level of results that you got. Whatever you can continue to be consistent with, that's what you should try to do on a regular basis, and then not get beat up on not being perfect, right? So we know that nobody was perfect and we still saw insane results. So if anything, this shows us that consistency wins, right? It shows us that drinking enough water does make a difference. If major weight loss and body fat differences for people who took their steps up a notch. People who went from averaging 2,000 to 4,000 steps a day that got up to 9,000, 10,000 a day, just absolutely melted. That is a huge reason why we saw such major numbers in the amount of body fat loss that you guys lost. A lot of it was coming from your waist, but a lot of it was coming from your legs, and that's because you guys are actually up and moving. Steps are a complete just game changer for weight loss, a hack, a life hack. The human body is meant to be moving. I know it feels crazy to have to get up and get 10,000 steps a day if you're sedentary for work, but that's how the world is. That's how you're supposed to be. Like, I know that your job isn't like making it any easier on you, but you, for yourself, for your goals, for your life, for your health, need to prioritize those steps. If you saw any kind of positive changes from reprioritizing, that doesn't mean you have to get 10,000, 15,000 if you don't get 70K a day or a week. But maybe that average approach worked for you. Maybe, you try to get 10 every day. And if you didn't hit the 10, you get a little bit more the next day. It's not about perfection. It is absolutely about consistency. And that's why we're getting on you guys about the logging. People who went from not logging at all to logging, you guys came up to me when we did the offboarding and you said, hey, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I want to keep logging. Like, wow, what a difference. Like, what? It's awareness, okay? I don't want you to log and be afraid to log and see and show me what you're having. That is a whole other problem in itself that we need to address. If you think that there's, these good and bad foods, food is food. There's absolutely foods that bring you closer to your goal and foods that bring you farther away from your goal. But if you're actively choosing these foods, you need to own that decision and own it by putting it in the app and recording the fact that you put it in your mouth. If you're embarrassed of things that you're putting in your mouth, that is step number 1 of owning it and taking control of your life, what you put in your mouth. Okay. If you don't like it and you're telling your kids not to have it, but you're sitting there putting it in your mouth, you need to own up to it, because that's the only way that you're going to change your behavior. Okay. So I'm not saying you need to do all of these things all the time, but I'm saying, look what happened when you did. right? And none of these things were crazy. It wasn't a crazy calorie restriction situation. It wasn't a crazy workout situation. If working out Tuesday and Thursday was not happening for you, if that 30-minute workout was just like, oh my God, I have to move my whole life around for this to happen, then we know that 3 workouts a week is perfect. I also wanted to incorporate that part of the challenge in for you guys to realize. Some of you guys are on the fence like, do I need a 4th day to take it up a notch? Do I need a 4th or a 5th day to like kick out my weight loss? No, you need to lock in with your food and you need to get your steps in on Tuesday and Thursday and the weekends. You don't need extra workouts. Okay. Now there were some people who went in and they wanted the extra workouts. They've been thinking about it and they executed it. And that made them stay on track more because now they have something to get them out of bed and get them to do something on Tuesday and Thursday. But not everybody is like that. So hopefully you were able to use this 4-week challenge to figure out what things you actually want to do to move the needle. And then also what things that you sucked it up for 4 weeks and willingly did, and then saw how that impacted your results, right? I really enjoyed the logging part of this too, and y'all sticking to a protein goal versus a calorie goal, because I felt like y'all were more willing to log things that weren't necessarily on the plan or what you thought were on the plan, because you knew that the goal was the protein and not the calories. And that also gave me a lot of insight to, if that calorie goal or that protein goal specifically was too high or too low, because that's different for every person. So all in all, I really enjoyed getting the insight on you guys, seeing you guys be consistent again for 4 weeks, and then meeting with you guys. I also scheduled meetings in 2, 3, or 4 weeks with you guys to make sure that you don't fall off. Amanda and Blair and Steph and AJ and I are all going to be reaching out to you guys on a regular basis to make sure that you're keeping things going. But one thing to note is, at the end of the day, you need to take control and you need to have autonomy over your results. And you need to decide every day how you're going to show up and recognize that, if you made the wrong decision or decision that moved you away from your goals that day, that the next decision can turn you right back around. It doesn't mean the whole day needs to be thrown off track. You woke up, you slept through your alarm. There's a 6:30 p.m. class, and we're all going to be really excited to see you at night and getting your workout in. If you've never met the 6:30 p.m. people, they're an awesome crew. A lot of times AJ and I take the 6:30 p.m. class too, because we've had a long ass day and we want to work out, right? So sit down today and figure out, okay, what in the 4 weeks was awesome? What did I tell Carmelita I was going to continue to stay consistent with? And how am I going to set myself up today to make sure that tomorrow, maybe Tuesday and maybe Wednesday, I'm successful again? Does it have to be perfect? No, it doesn't have to be even remotely close to the 4 weeks, but it needs to be something, right? Enjoy. I know a lot of you guys are on fall break. I know a lot of you guys line this challenge up perfectly. If that's the case, don't stress. You hop right back on it the minute that you come back in, and we're here for you every step of the way. I am super, super proud of every single one of you guys. Major shout out to Steph and Lisa. There's a reason why they lost the most body fat. Both of these girls have been working really hard on hitting their protein and then lifting heavy in the gym. Both of them took on the Tuesday, Thursday lifts, and both of them took their steps up a notch, even though they both already got steps. So I think that's the reason why they saw such good results, why each of them saw such good major results. There were a couple other teams that were really, really close. But again, if anybody saw any kind of results from this, that's a sign. Let's stay consistent. Let's keep the needle moving. It wasn't that hard. We are here for you. Let's have a good freaking rest of the month, guys.